So if you're looking to set up a live stream, there's a couple of things you want to think about. A multitude of different things if you're total beginner. So if you're starting from scratch, I'll give you a few suggestions and items right now that we'll walk through together. So let me start with the first most important thing, the camera itself. So I've got an example here, which I think is quite a good one. Canon EOS 250D, also known as the SL3. It's a DSLR camera. You can see it right now featured on screen. It's a good one because you have the tilty out flippy screen, I call it. Official term for it is articulating screen. So yeah, that's the 250D. I've talked quite a bit about this recently. There's a few ones out there in different colors and options, and what you can do is get it in white or black. I found one that is in stock, so plenty of people can check it out. Again, I'll put links to these so you can click below and see all the information I'm talking about and more detail. So looking at this, the first thing we want is the camera. This camera, you'll notice there, it says it's got a HDMI port. That's very important, especially if you're planning to do live streaming with it. There's a number of ways you can live stream with the camera. I'm going to cover them today with you and let you know what would be a good option for either way. If you're looking to stream at 1080p and you want a good clean image, you will use a HDMI out. If you're looking for a 720p live stream for Zoom sessions, meetings, and more like unofficial type things that you regularly do, 720p would be adequate. And for that, you could use a Canon camera in its webcam utility state, which is actually a free software that Canon provides for you. What they do is you can use a USB cable, plug it directly into your camera, which is exactly what I'm doing right now using this camera, and you can see the type of quality you can achieve. There are other elements that play a big part in making your image look quite nice. We'll talk about that, so don't worry about that. So looking at these, what you've got is your camera. Then obviously you choose if you want to do the HDMI out for 1080p video, or if you're happy with 720p via a USB. The benefit there is the USB can go straight in your computer. You don't need any fancy capture cards, which you will do for a 1080p. So hopefully that explains the two methods there. So that's the first option, a nice camera to get you started off and something that will work well for you in the sense of being a web camera as well as additional benefits. So a web camera is a web camera. A lot of people use a webcam, but the main challenge here is getting good quality from a webcam. You won't get this type of quality from a webcam. It's very difficult to get this type of feel from a webcam. A webcam will look more like, if I can show you a close-up, like this. So that's what I mean when I do a comparison and say you can't get a webcam looking like this. It's totally different view. Anyway, so that's the first point covered. The next thing we look at is the lighting. Lighting is going to make a big important impact to you. So let me give you a quick example of some lights that would be handy. So right now there is a 3-pack light setup. It's a video LED lighting system. It's very similar to the ones I use, but these ones that I'm showing you are RGB, which means they can go through a different color range, red, green and blue, which means you can do things like, you'll see my background, I've got a bit of a pink element here, I've got a green element there. Those are LED light strips and an actual light down here positioned. However, these bigger lights allow you to do that. So if I show you a quick view of the lights and give you an example. So back to our webcam shot here. If I slowly spin you around carefully and then show you a top view there, you can see those are the lights I'm currently featuring in the carousel. I have soft boxes on mine. Oops, okay, the OBS cam there is looking at that. So that was a quick look at the lights I'm talking about. Again, they are top down lights. However, I've positioned them as top down lights. The actual lights themselves can be used in multitude of ways. I also use it as a key light here. I've got 3 of them. You saw 2 up there. Let me show you the third one. I'll set the camera up beforehand so you don't get all dizzy. Okay, so if I move over to there, and you'll see just up here, that light there is the third light. So that lets you know the lights are very versatile because you're using them in different ways. You can use them to mount on the ceiling to light a desk shot. What would I mean by that? So my desk shot would be something like that. That is a bit zoomed out at the moment. I normally zoom it in and you can see the desk shot there. Let me go over there just so you can see how the light would look, and then that will give you a good example. Okay, so we're gonna have a quick look at this and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So different lights help in different ways. The top down lights, let's have a look. So you'll see now, These are the two top down lights here. They're lighting the desk more than anything else, because obviously I use the desk to show examples. So let me get something up and show you what I mean. Here we go. Okay, we've got a waterproof DSLR camera case here. So if I was showing you that, you'll see that's quite nicely visible for you, because the lighting is lighting up the desk, bouncing back up and giving me fill light. So that's an example of the lights in a wider scenario. I've purposely put them quite close. Let me go back and show you the desk shot, and you can see how the first light performs, because this was 2 of the 3 lights. You can use them in a lot of different ways. So again, here you can see that one light that I've got positioned there, which you saw a little while ago, which I will show you again just so you can see how it lights up. So just up here you can see that light, and that light's actually doing multi-purpose, because it's not only lighting me here, it's also bouncing off the desk here. So I'm getting a multi-use. So I've got one light positioned there, which is lighting me for the first shot, as well as my desk for the second shot. So one light is actually covering 2 cameras, with the additional 2 lights covering my other desk over there. So a standing desk. So 3 lights are sufficient for a smaller space studio. So I don't have much space here. If we were looking at how much space I've got here, probably 3 meters that way and a meter wide is the actual space when I'm walking, and that isn't a great deal of space. So my lights are actually working very well for that. So that's your second element that we looked at. The camera was number 1, lighting is number 2. I'm trying to go in the order that I would normally purchase things, because you could get a camera and improve it a lot with lighting. So that's number 2. What else have we got? In addition to that, you're going to need something sturdy for your camera to be positioned. So if we're using a camera for this type of thing, you'll have a tripod that will hold your camera in place for a webcam use. So right now I'm featuring or looking at the third item, which would be a tripod. So let me update this for you now and show you. You can get different types of tripods, and they offer different options. Cheap tripods will hold your camera in place. However, you want something sturdy, so when your camera is there, for example, this camera has been sitting there for a long amount of time. I've done things around it, but the camera is solid, so it actually stays there and it doesn't move, because ideally I want the same shot every time I'm doing a video or recording a live stream. So that gives you an example of that. So coming back over to here, let's have a look. So this tripod is a Manfrotto tripod. It's a solid tripod, and it gives you versatility. So the main thing with tripods you want to look at, let me show you a quick zoom in on this, is the quality of a tripod. And how you can tell that is when it's fully extended, where the tripod is atop, you hold the top, you hold the top of the tripod like this, and you basically do that. If the legs bend and twist, then that's showing you how much of the camera's stability is going to be in the legs. If you get a good quality tripod and you hold it from the neck on the right and the top while it's extended, and you basically do that, it won't move because it's solid. Which means if you're doing a time lapse, doing photos, videos, or even live streaming, your camera's not going to move or adjust itself, which can happen on cheaper tripods, legs extending or descending and all sorts. So that's something to keep in mind. That's a top tip there. So tripods is something that I think is very important to consider. So we've looked at 3 things there: a camera, the lighting, and a tripod. What else would be important? So if you're doing a live stream, obviously you're going to need decent audio. So for audio, there's a few ways you can go with this route. Let me show you what I would say is a good option, and that is a microphone which can set you up with this type of audio. I go into a mixing board which is a bit long-winded because I use up to 4 mics. Obviously you've seen I've got a setup over there where I use another mic while I'm standing up. So right now that's using 2. When I'm podcasting, I would use more. So for your purpose, if you want just the 1 mic, the current mic I'm looking for, or well, looking at, is a Samsung mic. It's a USB and XLR mic. So if you need to in future move to XLR, it gives you that option. So that's something to keep in mind. So with the Samsung mic, this one will give you a few different options to use it via USB initially, and then in the future use it for XLR. You could plug it into USB, plug it into your computer, and I've done a lot of testing with that mic. You would get very similar quality to what you're hearing right now via USB. There'll be a slight difference in terms of the bass and the equalization features because I'm using a mixing board on that, but it's not much between it to the normal ear if you were listening to that. Again, you will need earphones to be able to tell the difference and make sure you're listening to that properly. So we've looked at a camera, we've looked at lights, we've looked at a sturdy tripod, and we've even looked at a microphone to set you up for your live stream. What else would be important? Well, this is a mic that I'm showing you that would actually be wired in. So it'll be wired and you'll be sitting down. However, what about if you're moving about and you're doing something that needs more movement? Well, that's when you look at wireless mics. So wireless mics are a good option. You'll need a slightly different budget for them because obviously they're offering you a bit more freedom to move around. I do have one. I will be doing a separate show just about the wireless mics and showing you examples of how they work. So here's a good option for you that's come up, and it's a wireless mic system. So this mic system allows you to plug in your mic, like Sennheisers, like think about news reporters, they have that little lapel mic and they have that little box with them. So that's an option as well. So again, this is something that gets you creating additional live streams and having vocals and doing movement and not have to be stuck to a desk, like for example I am here. So that's a quick look at that. So that's kind of giving you the main options for live streaming gear and the initials. This is all the gear setup. You will need to get all this gear set up in a location where you can set the lighting and leave it ideally, so you don't have to always break it down and reset it up if you're always live streaming. If you have a location set up, you'll be fine because you just come and everything's set up, you press record and you're good to go to record your video, go live streaming, have a Zoom session, etc. So all this information is giving you the gear. The programming side of it will be a separate option, which I talked about before. I use OBS to put everything together and allows me to record videos and live stream. So that's a very good item to look at. It is a free program, so you don't have to pay money for it, but I'll give you more details about that here. If you click here, you'll see about how to set up OBS and get this sorted out for you. I'll see you in that video.